Hey everyone, and today I want to talk about some anticipated releases that are coming out between January and June of next year. I'll make another video that talks about July to December in the middle of next year, but I always love talking about anticipated releases and getting excited for what's coming out next year. This will mostly be either some continuations of series that I've started. There are a couple that I'm going to mention where I actually haven't started the series, but I'm really hoping to soon. I'm going to try not to do that though, because there are so many continuations of series that I'm just in general interested in that are coming out, so I didn't want to talk about too many of those. I also am not going to be talking about too many new to me authors, or authors where they have somewhat of a backlist and I've been interested in their books, but I haven't read any, and I'm noticing just their next release. I would love to at least have something from that author under my belt to know that I'm really excited about their next release in order to talk about it in this video. Maybe if I were doing these more frequently, I would talk about those as well, but I'm going to try to keep this as brief as I can. So let's just jump right into January. Actually, only one for January that I want to mention, and it's the only nonfiction, although I'm sure there are going to be plenty of nonfictions that I'm excited for as well. And this is How to Be Perfect, and this is from the creator of The Good Place and Parks and Rec, or worked on both of those shows, and I absolutely adore those shows. And this is supposed to just be his reflections on ethics, and I hope he'll be able to bring in the humor of both of those shows, and I'm intrigued to check it out. We'll see what happens with that one. Quite a few for February. So on February 1st, Laura Sebastian is coming out with a first book in a new series. I'm not sure if this is YA or adult, but this is Castles in Their Bones, and I think it might be YA. This follows some princesses. I think you follow one main perspective, but talks about a group of sisters who are about to be, or their mother is working on marrying them off to other kingdoms, but they have been trained from the time they were young to be basically trained in the devious arts, and I'm not sure if they're going to be helping their mother kind of take over these new kingdoms by infiltrating from the inside or something. I'm not quite sure. I just know this is Laura Sebastian's new release, and I'm excited to check it out. There's also, this is one of not too many that are just books that I just happened to see. The cover caught my eye. This cover is stunning, and I just had to check out the synopsis and mention it because it sounded so intriguing. I haven't heard of this author before, but this is Circus of Wonders by Elizabeth McNeil. I'm not sure if it's their debut or if I just haven't heard of them before, but this one follows, I think, a girl who kind of winds up in this circus. I'm not sure too much more than that, and discovers some things about this circus, and I'm not sure too much more, but it sounded super intriguing. I've come to find that I enjoy circus stories. It just seems super atmospheric and fun, maybe for around the fall time. So definitely would love to check that out at some point. On February 15th, we get the next book in the Crescent City series, House of Sky and Breath. And this one is actually one of the ones that I haven't started the series yet, but I'm excited to, so I just wanted to give it a brief mention. And in the first one, you follow Bryce and Hunt, and I think there's a murder mystery, and you're exploring Crescent City, which is kind of this, it's an urban fantasy of sorts, kind of this urban fantasy city where, you know, there are different kinds of creatures, and there's a murder investigation. Anyway, I'm excited to check it out, so I just wanted to mention it to give myself that boost to actually read the first book. Also on that day, Reclaim the Stars, which is a short story collection centering the Latin American diaspora, is coming out. I believe it's edited, or the collection is edited by Zoraida Cordova, I think. And there are a few authors here that I've heard of, many that I think it would be cool to check out and learn about their works and get to know their writing style through a short story collection. Now, contemporary short stories haven't traditionally worked for me, but I want to see if fantasy short stories do, and I think this is mostly a fantasy, maybe some sci-fi thrown in centered collection, and so I want to see if that might work for me and learn about some new authors we'll see. Now, one of the ones that I am most excited about coming out next year, and I'm not exactly sure the date because I saw a few different things, but at some point, perhaps in February or March, S.A. Chakravorty is coming out with a first book in a new series. It's a historical fantasy series, much like her first one, the David Bode trilogy, which I absolutely loved. And I think pirates are also involved, and I really don't need to know anymore. I'm so excited. I cannot express how excited I am to pick up a new series by this author that sounds like so much fun. So definitely going to be checking that one out as close to release as I possibly can. And then February 22nd, The Paris Apartment by Lucy Foley comes out. Now I did read the guest list by this author and didn't love it, but I do want to give this author another chance. And I'm also interested in checking out Is It the Hunting Party by this author as well. This one follows a woman who goes to live with her brother in Paris for a time. She's kind of down on her luck and wants to live with her brother until she can get back on her feet, and goes to Paris to meet him at his shockingly fancy and nice apartment. But he's not there. She doesn't know where he is. I think he's missing. His neighbors are strange, and I think weird things just start happening, and she's trying to figure out what happened to her brother. So very intrigued, and we'll see what I think giving this author another chance. March 1st, V.E. Schwab's new book comes out. I think it's Gallant, and I don't know too much. I didn't really check out the synopsis too much because it's the next book by V.E. Schwab, so I'm very excited. I still need to read the Villains duology, Vicious and Vengeful. There are still some other works of hers that I need to check out, but this is the next release, and I think just follows someone who is invited to go back home to Gallant, but when she gets there, it doesn't really feel like she's been invited. Weird things are happening, and she needs to figure out what's going on. Not really sure. Also, another one that I didn't check out the synopsis too much because I know I just want to check it out is Saba Tahir's new release. It is actually a contemporary, and it is All My Rage, and I love Saba Tahir's fantasy series, and I'm Burning the Ashes, and just want to check out her next work. Another one that's coming out on March 1st that I just couldn't resist putting in here. I haven't read anything by this author. Is it Sayantani Dasgupta? I'm not sure how to pronounce this name. But it is Debating Darcy, which is, I think, an enemies to lovers YA contemporary that follows debaters. And I couldn't resist putting it on here because I was a debater in high school, debated some in college. I was the debate graduate assistant for the team in grad school. So I couldn't resist a contemporary romance centering debaters. I think it'll be a blast. On March 15th, The War of Two Queens by Jennifer L. Armentrout comes out. Now, I'm not quite on this book in the From Blood and Ash series, but I just wanted to put it on here to remind myself to get going and continuing with the series. I have started. I read the first one, and you follow Poppy, who falls in love with her guard, and she's the maiden of this fantasy world and is protected. She has a guard at all times, and she ends up falling in love with her new guard. Anyway, I want to continue, and this is kind of my push to continue. Another one that we get on that day, on March 15th, is Hook, Line, and Sinker by Tessa Bailey. This is a follow-up to It Happened One Summer, and again, I didn't read It Happened One Summer, but I am so excited to, and I'm hoping to read it next summer, so I'll be able to read both of these if I read it next summer. And It Happened One Summer just follows a woman. It's inspired by Alexis from Schitt's Creek, or the main female character is inspired by Alexis from Schitt's Creek. And that's all I needed to know to want to read that book. So the next one comes out. Also on March 15th, we get Peter Swanson's next release, which is 9 Lives. I think this follows someone who finds himself on a threatening list that includes 9 names. And at first, they don't really think much about it, and then, you know, the people on this list don't really think much about it, and then some of them start dying, and so our main character needs to figure out what's going on before he's next, I presume. March 29th. This one, the cover is stunning, and I just had to see what it was about. This is Forgery of Roses by Jessica Olsen, and this one seems so cool. It follows a woman who is an artist in some sort of fantasy world, and her portraits can actually affect the physical bodies of the people that she's painting, and it's a power that she needs to keep hidden because it's something that could be used for a lot of purposes. And a political leader, I think the governor of her land, finds out. They basically threaten her and want to have her paint a portrait of their son, or in order to resurrect him or bring him back to life. And if she doesn't do it, they'll expose her abilities, and I don't know, it sounds super intriguing, and the cover is absolutely stunning. So now to April. On April 5th, we're getting Mia Sosa's next book, The Wedding Crasher. Again, I didn't really check out the synopsis. I enjoyed one of Mia Sosa's other books and would love to check out this release as well. We also get The Merciless Ones by Namina Forna, and this is the follow-up to The Gilded Ones, which I had a really fun time with last year. And this one follows Dika, and Dika has to go through this blood ceremony. Her blood runs gold instead of red, and so she has some sort of magical ability and is ostracized from her community, ends up going into this fighting force and figuring out a bunch of things about the world that she lives in and her place in it with her magic. I had a really fun time with it. The second one comes out April 5th. Those are the only ones for April that I have noted for the moment. So we'll jump to May. May 3rd, Emily Henry's new book comes out. And again, I tried not to put too many on here where I haven't checked out the author's other works, but I've been intrigued by them in the past, and this just happens to be their newest release. But this one is called Book Lovers, and I am very interested in checking out Emily Henry's, particularly her two previous releases that are adult romances. I really want to check those out. And I think this one follows two people in the book industry finding love, and I'm not sure where in the industry they are. I think are they editors or something? I'm not sure. And I want to check it out. There's also I Kissed Shara Wheeler, and this is Casey McQuiston's newest release. I've read both of their previous books and really enjoyed them. This is actually a YA release, and both of their previous books were adult titles, which is just interesting, and I'm still very excited to check this one out, even though I don't read a ton of YA contemporaries, but you know, we'll see. We'll see. I'm very intrigued. The next one, I'm not sure exactly what that one follows. Again, for some of these, it doesn't matter. I know I want to check out these authors' latest releases. The next one, I believe Ali Hazelwood is coming out with a series of novellas next year, I think. And there are a couple in this video that I'll mention. One is Under One Roof. And again, I didn't look too much into the synopsis of this one in particular. Ali Hazelwood wrote The Love Hypothesis, and I absolutely love that one. So I want to check out anything she releases. And it's, I believe the novellas are all going to be STEM, or romances that focus on characters in STEM. So very cool. Another May 24th, we get A Lady for a Duke, which is the latest release by Alexis Hall, who wrote who wrote Boyfriend Material, rather. And I think this is a Regency era one? And so I absolutely adored Boyfriend Material. I thought it was hilarious, and I would love to check out, I love Regency romances as well. And so I would love to check out anything that Alexis Hall writes, and I'm very excited for this one. May 31st, we have Together We Burn, which is Isabel Ibanez's newest release. And this one involves, I think, both dragons and flamenco dancers. Not entirely sure, but sounds super intriguing. I read one of the two books she's written. I read Woven in Moonlight. She also has Written in Starlight, and I need to read that one, but I'm intrigued to check out her latest release as well. On June 7th, we get, I believe, what is the next novella, romance STEM novella from Ali Hazelwood called Stuck With You. So that one hopefully will be fantastic as well. And then there are a couple of others that are continuations of series that I've started, including the Prison Healer series by Lynette Noni, and the 100 Names for Magic, or 100 Names for Magic series by Ren Chapeko. Some of those are coming out. The next book in those are coming out in kind of the May-June time frame. So I'm excited to continue those, but again, I didn't want to mention too many of just random series continuations, because, you know, I haven't even read the second Prison Healer book yet, but anyway. And the last one I want to mention is coming out on June 28th, and it is The Dream Runners by Shweta Thakrar. Whoever does her covers is so good. I love this cover. And the cover of Star Daughter is also one of my favorite covers ever. They're stunning, so stunning. And this one, I just know it involves dream magic. I understand the criticisms there of her first book. I still had a really good time reading it, and I thought her writing was absolutely gorgeous. Not quite to Laini Taylor flowery level, but Laini Taylor did actually blurb this author's first book, and the writing style is kind of in that vein. It is pretty purple prose, but absolutely stunning. I had a really entertaining time with Star Daughter, and so I'm hoping that maybe some of the things that didn't work as much for that one, maybe, you know, I would love to give her second book a try and see if I have a good time with it. So those are just some of the books that I am excited about that are coming out in the first half of next year. Let me know what some of your most anticipated releases are. Are they any of these books? Please do let me know. Or if there's something that you are super excited about that you think I might absolutely love based on what I'm already excited about, then absolutely I would love to know that as well. And subscribe for more bookish content and for all the videos that I'll be making in December and early January. And of course I'll leave my Twitter and Instagram link down below. That's where I like to hang out. I will also leave more information about how you can support the Black Lives Matter movement, and I will see you in the next one. Bye everyone.